On the plains of Eastern Europe, there is a nation that history tried to erase, more than once. A country invaded from every direction, partitioned by empires, crushed by wars, yet always coming back. Today, Poland is no longer the victim. It is becoming Europe's new military powerhouse and one of the fastest-growing economies of the continent. With Russia's war unfolding just beyond its frontier, Poland has stepped into a role no one expected, the frontline state of Europe. And after its most consequential elections in decades, the entire world watches. Will Poland turn toward Brussels or carve its own geopolitical path? In the space between Russia and the West, between war and peace, Poland may decide the future of Europe. This is the story of Poland, its geography, its power, and its destiny. Poland's story begins with the land itself, a land without natural borders, no mountain walls, no deep river canyons, no deserts to slow an invading army. Just open space. From the Baltic Sea to the Carpathian foothills, barely 500 kilometers. An army can cross it in days. This is the North European Plain, one of the flattest and most exposed corridors on Earth. A geographic highway that stretches from the Atlantic coast of France all the way to the Ural Mountains in Russia. And Poland sits right in the center of it. For centuries, this flatness made Poland rich. Perfect soil, stable climate, endless fields of grain. But it also made Poland crossable. And crossable means vulnerable. Here, geography has no mercy. When powerful empires rise, Prussia, Austria, Germany, Russia, Poland is the space where their ambitions collide. Poland isn't a fortress, it's a highway, and highways don't defend themselves. Mongol horsemen in the 13th century, Swedish armies in the 17th, Prussian, Austrian, and Russian empires carved Poland into pieces in the 18th. And for 123 years, from 1795 to 1918, Poland disappeared from the map entirely. Nazi Germany invaded in 1939. Soviet tanks rolled in after 1945. This is not ancient history. It is geography as destiny. And because the land offers no protection, Poland learned a hard truth. Your survival depends on your alliances. This is the single geographic fact that still shapes Polish foreign policy today. It explains why Poland pushes for a strong NATO presence, why it now spends over 4% of GDP on defense, the highest in NATO after the United States, and why Warsaw sees the war in Ukraine not as a distant conflict, but as the same war Poland has fought for centuries, now happening 200 kilometers from its border. To understand Poland's choices, you must first understand its land. Because Poland's geography doesn't simply describe the country, it has erased it, rebuilt it, and still threatens it today. Most nations fight to grow. Poland's greatest struggle has been simpler and more brutal: to exist at all. In the late 18th century, three rising empires, Prussia, Austria, and Russia, surrounded a weakened Poland. Between 1772 and 1795, in three surgical cuts, they erased Poland from the map. No war, no conquest, just diplomacy, borders redrawn on paper, and 20 million people assigned new rulers overnight. For 123 years, there was no Polish state, only a people holding on to their language, culture, and memory. Throughout the 19th century, Poles refused to disappear. In 1831, they rose against Russian rule and failed. In 1863, they rose again. 100,000 rebels fought for months across the countryside and were crushed. Thousands were executed. Tens of thousands were sent to Siberia. But the idea of Poland survived underground, passed from generation to generation. Then came a moment no one expected. After World War I, in 1918, Poland returned to the map. A nation resurrected after more than a century of erasure. Its rebirth was tested almost immediately. In 1920, the Red Army pushed toward Warsaw, hoping to ignite revolution across Europe. But Poland stopped them at the gates of the capital in what became known as the Miracle on the Vistula. Outnumbered, with a 20-year-old nation barely able to field an army, Poland won. And in doing so, stopped Soviet communism from spreading into Germany and beyond. The triumph did not last. On September 1, 1939, Germany invaded from the west. Poland fought back. Then on September 17th, while Polish forces were still resisting the Nazis, the Soviet Union stabbed from the east. Poland was crushed between two totalitarian empires. Again, cities destroyed, millions killed, the country turned into one of the main battlefields of World War II. After the war, Poland didn't regain freedom. It simply changed masters. 6 million Poles had died, half of them Jewish, murdered in Nazi death camps built on Polish soil. The Soviet Union annexed eastern Poland, moved its borders westward, and installed a puppet government in Warsaw. For the next 45 years, Poland was nominally independent, but ruled from Moscow. But resistance never died. In 1980, a shipyard electrician named Lech Wałęsa sparked a workers' movement that became Solidarity, the first independent trade union in the Soviet bloc. Within months, 10 million Poles had joined. The Kremlin sent tanks, imposed martial law, arrested thousands. But Solidarity survived underground. And in 1989, it forced the regime to negotiate. Poland became the first domino to fall, the beginning of the end for Soviet control in Europe. This long cycle of erasure, resistance, and rebirth left a permanent mark. Poland knows what it means to vanish. It knows what it means to stand alone. And it knows that survival depends on strength, allies, and never forgetting. This historical memory still shapes Poland's decisions today, its fears, its alliances, and its absolute determination never to be conquered again. To understand Poland, you have to look beyond wars and borders. You have to ask, how does a nation survive 123 years without a state? The answer is not in armies or governments. It's in faith, culture, and an unbreakable refusal to disappear. For centuries, when Poland had no army, no government, no borders, it had three things empires could not destroy. First, faith. Poland is one of the most Catholic countries in Europe, and for many families, the church was more than a religious institution. It was a guardian of language, tradition, and community during foreign rule. When Prussia banned the Polish language in schools, children still heard it in Sunday Mass. When Russia tried to convert Poles to Orthodoxy, Catholic parishes became centers of resistance. Even during communist times when religion was discouraged, Polish faith remained a form of defiance. Second, culture. Polish literature, music, and art flourished even during the darkest years. The works of Adam Mickiewicz, celebrating a homeland that no longer existed, kept the idea of Poland alive in exile. Composers like Chopin, who spent most of his life in Paris, never returning to Poland, expressed a longing so powerful it became the sound of a nation that officially did not exist. And in everyday life, traditions such as Wigilia, Christmas Eve dinner, or local folk dances helped maintain a sense of belonging that no empire could erase. Third, resilience. Poles have a saying, Jeszcze Polska nie zginęła. Poland is not yet lost. These are the opening words of the national anthem, sung not in triumph, but in defiance. A nation shaped not by comfort, but by survival, yet always capable of rebuilding, restarting, and moving forward. This mix of faith, culture, and endurance is essential to understand modern Poland. It explains why the country values sovereignty, why it mistrusts foreign domination, and why national unity still matters so deeply today. Identity is not just heritage here. It's the invisible fortress that kept Poland alive when every visible one had fallen. In December 2023, Poland completed one of its most important political transitions in decades, ending 8 years of conservative rule just as war raged next door in Ukraine. After 8 years under the Conservative Law and Justice Party, known as PiS, the elections of October 2023 opened the door to a new government led by Donald Tusk, the former Prime Minister and former President of the European Council. This shift represents more than a change in personalities. It marks a clear reorientation of Poland's relationship with the European Union, while maintaining absolute continuity on defense and support for Ukraine. For 8 years, PiS pursued a model centered on national sovereignty, cultural conservatism, and greater distance from Brussels. Poland became one of the highest military spenders in NATO, over 4% of GDP, but also faced billions in EU funds frozen over rule of law disputes. Under this approach, Poland often clashed with EU institutions while maintaining one of the strongest pro-Ukraine stances in Europe. Tusk's return signals a different emphasis. His coalition has promised closer cooperation with the European Union and efforts to restore ties with Brussels. Domestically, Tusk's government has moved to unfreeze billions in EU funds, restore independence to state media, and reverse controversial judicial changes, though these reforms face resistance from PiS and Poland's conservative president, Andrzej Duda, who remained in office until August 2025. But the most significant impact may come in foreign policy. A more EU-aligned government could push for deeper integration with Europe's political and economic frameworks. The question is how the new leadership will balance these two pillars: deeper integration with Brussels, while not abandoning the security-first stance that has defined Polish foreign policy since 1989. Early signs suggest Tusk will pursue both, betting that a stronger EU can also mean a safer Poland. On one issue, however, both PiS and Tusk completely agree: unwavering support for Ukraine. Poland has taken in over 1.5 million Ukrainian refugees, hosts NATO forces on its soil, and serves as the main logistics hub for Western military aid flowing east. Regardless of who governs in Warsaw, this will not change, because Poland's leaders understand that Ukraine's survival is directly tied to Poland's security. And beneath all of this lies a strategic constant. Regardless of who governs, Poland remains essential to NATO's eastern flank and to the future stability of Europe. This new political era does not erase Poland's past, but it may reshape how the country positions itself in a changing geopolitical world. Europe's frontline state. When Russia launched its full-scale invasion in 2022, Poland immediately became Europe's eastern bulwark. Geography explains why. Positioned between Germany and the vast Slavic plain, Poland has historically functioned as a buffer state, a decisive strip of land separating rival empires. Today, that role has returned with urgency. If Ukraine were to fall, Poland would be next in the Kremlin's line of pressure, an existential reality that underpins Warsaw's firm, almost instinctive commitment to Kiev's defense. From the earliest days of the war, Poland was among the first countries to send weapons: anti-tank missiles, drones, ammunition, and even its valuable T-72 tanks, long before many Western powers moved decisively. But Poland did more than supply equipment. It became Ukraine's logistical fortress. Most Western weaponry enters Ukraine through Polish territory, moving along upgraded rail lines, strategic highways, and massive staging hubs near the border. Without Poland, the military bridge to Kiev would simply not exist. Yet Warsaw's role has not been linear or free of friction. In 2023 to 2024, political and economic tensions emerged over the influx of Ukrainian grain that disrupted Polish agricultural markets, creating public pressure and diplomatic strains between President Zelensky and the Polish government. Still, these disputes never severed strategic cooperation. Both countries understand that their security is irrevocably intertwined. If the conflict escalates, Poland's role becomes even more critical. It is home to the largest expanding land army in the European Union, a core member of NATO, and the territory through which any Allied reinforcements would inevitably pass. In a scenario of broader war, Poland would not only be a borderland, it would stand as Europe's first line of defense. from post-communist poverty to an European Union power. Poland's economic transformation is one of the most remarkable stories in modern Europe. After the fall of communism in 1989, the country was synonymous with crisis, runaway inflation, and an outdated industrial base. 3 decades later, Poland has become an economic powerhouse within the European Union, a driver of innovation, advanced manufacturing, and sustained growth. One of the pillars of this rise has been the combination of traditional manufacturing and technological innovation. Poland reinvented itself as a hub of competitive production. Industrial machinery, household appliances, electronic components, even light aircraft. At the same time, its major cities evolved into thriving tech boom centers. Warsaw, Wrocław, Gdansk, and Krakow now host thousands of startups, AI research labs, and regional headquarters of global giants like Google, Intel, Samsung, and UBS. The Warsaw-Krakow corridor has emerged as one of the most dynamic economic zones in Eastern Europe. A blend of university talent, modern infrastructure, and innovation ecosystems powering fintech, gaming, biotechnology, and IT services. This engine rests on a highly skilled young workforce with some of the highest English proficiency rates in the region. On top of this, Ukrainian migration, especially after 2014 and 2022, has reshaped the labor market. More than 1 million Ukrainians integrated into Poland's economy, filling labor shortages while adding consumption, entrepreneurship, and technical specialization. The impact has been a genuine economic boost. Poland's proximity and industrial connection to Germany, particularly in the automotive sector, has also been crucial. The country is an essential node in German supply chains. Auto parts, batteries, assembly operations, and logistics move through its territory, tightening its integration into Europe's manufacturing core. The result is striking. Between 2004, the year it joined the European Union, and 2025, Poland has nearly doubled its GDP per capita, reduced poverty, modernized its infrastructure, and consolidated itself as a true European success story. Few military transformations in modern times are as ambitious as the one Poland is undertaking. After centuries marked by invasions, partitions, and occupations, Warsaw has chosen to leave behind its image as a historical victim and instead become Europe's military shield. The war in Ukraine accelerated this vision. Poland intends to build the largest and best-equipped army on the continent. The plan is clear. By the early 2030s, Poland aims to field over 300,000 troops, nearly double its brigades, and reinforce every strategic flank of the country. But the true leap is not just in numbers. It lies in the 2023 to 2032 full-spectrum modernization program, which blends massive procurement, NATO standardization, and the expansion of domestic industrial capabilities. Poland's new military doctrine rests on 3 pillars: rapid mobility, overwhelming firepower, and multi-layered air defense. To achieve this, Warsaw has acquired some of the most advanced systems available. From the United States come the Abrams tanks, capable of engaging Russian armor in any terrain. The precision HIMARS artillery, able to destroy logistical nodes dozens of kilometers away. And the F-35, which will give Poland stealth, deep strike capacity, and air superiority dominance. Complementing this is deep cooperation with South Korea. Contracts for K-2 Black Panther tanks, K-9 howitzers, and K-239 rocket launchers allow Poland not only to receive cutting-edge equipment, but to develop local production, strengthening its defense industry. The result is an army that is no longer peripheral, but central to Europe's strategic architecture. Poland is no longer preparing merely to resist. It is preparing to deter and, if necessary, lead the defense of the continent. A new strategic alliance. The war in Ukraine not only redefined European security, it also shifted NATO's center of gravity eastward. During the Cold War, the alliance's defensive heart lay in West Germany. Today, with Russia as an active threat, that axis has moved toward Poland, a country that has become the indispensable anchor of NATO's eastern flank. This transformation is not entirely new, but Russia's invasion accelerated it at historic speed. Poland has moved from being a recipient of security to a strategic contributor, central to Europe's deterrence posture. Its territory is now an essential platform for NATO's military presence, and above all, for that of the United States. U.S. bases in Poland have expanded both in number and capability. Command centers, rotational armored brigades, intelligence units, surveillance systems, and special forces all operate from Polish soil, forming a permanent network of military readiness. This presence is reinforced by the Aegis Ashore missile defense site in Redzikowo, part of Europe's ballistic missile shield. Although its official purpose is not Russia, its strategic value in the current geopolitical climate is undeniable. But no spot on the map symbolizes this alliance better than the Suwałki Corridor, a narrow strip of roughly 65 kilometers between Poland and Lithuania. It is widely considered NATO's most vulnerable point. On one side, Russia's Kaliningrad exclave. On the other, Kremlin-aligned Belarus. If Russia were to cut this corridor, the Baltic states could be isolated from the rest of the alliance. For this reason, Poland and the US conduct constant exercises, reinforce surveillance, and deploy mechanized units to ensure it remains open. What is emerging is a partnership deeper than ever. A NATO increasingly oriented toward the east, and a Poland which, together with the United States, is becoming the pillar of European defense in the 21st century. The future of Poland. Poland's rise raises a question that, just 2 decades ago, would have seemed impossible. Are we witnessing the emergence of the new power of Eastern Europe? Its expanding economy, military revolution, and central role in the war in Ukraine have placed Warsaw at the heart of Europe's strategic conversation. Poland is no longer a peripheral actor. It is a country whose influence now shapes the continent's security, energy politics, and military architecture. But Poland's future depends on complex factors. The first is whether it can avoid falling once again under the shadow of larger external powers. Throughout its history, Poland was partitioned, occupied, or manipulated by stronger neighbors. Today, its challenge is to balance US protection, cooperation within NATO, and its role inside a European Union grappling with tensions over sovereignty, migration, and the rule of law. Becoming a power also means learning to navigate these frictions without losing autonomy. The second challenge is geographic. Poland sits at the point where Europe and Eurasia meet, and in that intersection lies a defining question. Will Poland become a bridge between these regions, a logistical, energy, and political hub connecting markets and strategic interests? Or will it once again become the frontier of empires where Russia, NATO, and a divided Europe collide? 4 questions ultimately frame Poland's uncertain but pivotal future. Can Poland sustain its economic and military rise without overextending itself? What role will it play in Ukraine's reconstruction and long-term future? Will it emerge as the political leader of Eastern Europe? Is it destined to be a bridge or a fault line? Thank you for joining us on this journey. Leave your reflections below, subscribe to the Geography channel for more geopolitical explorations, and share this video to expand the discussion. See you next time in our ongoing journey through history, power, and place.